Graduation.
Okay.
You got to be there in the worst
And the
parts
suffering.
that you know over and over again. You got to live that in your mind.
Do you like suffering or do you just deal with suffering? Real answer.
Real answer?
Yeah.
I like to see. Real answer, I like to get a bunch of men together.
Okay.
Men that are the hardest of the hard. And I want to be with these men. And I want to see them suffer. Because I'm suffering right along with you, but I want to see me get through it. I want to see what you're made of. I want to see, like, almost like the Colosseum in Rome. Let's fucking go to the fucking Colosseum. And the only way to see who the baddest motherfucker is to suffer. You can't do it by writing a paper. So let's go. Because why? What I found out through my life was I thought of myself as some weak little bitch kid. And what I found out, and the only message I want to get across to people is once you change one thing, your mindset, you can attack everything. And I find it fascinating. I'm fascinated because I'll be in these moments. I put these guys on some fucking pedestal.
Yeah. Which people do with you.
They do with me, and they shouldn't. And I was this guy who was a piece of shit looking at these, my God, how are you guys this amazing? But once I worked my way up there, I said, my God, man, we can all compete, motherfucker. Let's go. So, do I like suffering? I like suffering in the way that is competitive, that brings out the absolute best in me and in everybody else. So, like, I want to see a man be defeated. I want to see a man get broken and say, fuck you. I love these men. These men I love, but there's very few of them. There's very few of them. And there's very few that are willing to go there more than once.
All right. Next up for one of my favorite interviews by David Goggins. But getting back to this, so just like always, I'm using this as an opportunity to practice proving the official OP types that have been ascribed to these men. David Goggins was formerly typed as double feminine, SETE, play, consume, blast, sleep. And Mylett, if I'm not mistaken, was typed as double masculine, TESI, blast, play, consume, sleep. So they're both sleep, blast. Now, how could I prove this shit, right? What from that clip could I prove or could I use as supporting evidence for one or all of their parts? Well, I think for me, what stood out is Mylett, right? Actually, in that clip. There's a lot going on in that clip, but at the very beginning of that excerpt, he asks, do you like suffering or do you just deal with it, right? And there's this kind of fear. There's this kind of fear and insecurity that he, in my opinion, that he portrays as he's asking that question and as he's hearing the answer. And to me, this goes right in line with the definition or part of the definition that I have for the deciders, which is right here. The deciders, even though they are more linear in my opinion, all people are ultimately concerned with this, in my opinion. But he's afraid of pain, right? He wants to avoid pain. He wants to avoid suffering, right? He doesn't want to go through the suffering if at all possible. And so when he sees David Goggins, which, oh, by the way, he's DE, so he's putting Goggins on a pedestal. You can see it as he's talking, in my opinion. So, you know, Ed Mylett is like, oh my God, David's going through all this suffering and I can't. And how is that possible? He must be much better than me, right? You know, that just might be me reading into it, but that was kind of the vibe I was getting from him. But definitely his question is pain focused, right? And if you notice, so in contrast, so David Goggins is an observer, right? So he talks about the suffering and the suffering is difficult. He talks about it, but one, notice his calmness about the suffering. He doesn't make a big deal out of the suffering, especially in that answer. And more importantly, his punchline is, many people don't want to go through the pathway of suffering more than once, right? And David Goggins is talking about this almost sleep realization that he has, that in order for him to go down a path or to go down the correct path, you have to go through pain repeatedly, right? You have to learn via repetition, part of this definition of sleep, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, right there. So In contrast in my opinion, scaredy cat Ed Mylett in that clip, he's a great guy, but David Goggins is talking about, he's processing the pathway, right? The best pathway forward requires suffering, right? And he's calm about that, or he's become calm about that. And if you notice here, David Goggins is okay, much like all observers, he's okay with the pain and social negativity as long as the path is correct. So for him, what he's trying to teach is you're not only do you have to go through pain, the path forward requires repeated exposures to pain. So you can basically inoculate yourself, numb yourself to the pain, right? Sleep. And Ed Mylett, he's not, I don't think he was quite ready for that. And so I would say that's probably about what I got from it. So I think this is a good exercise. That interview, which I've been basically breaking down in private for a little while, that's a good view, or a good example of what deciders are processing versus what observers are processing, in my opinion. So I think I'm actually gonna post this. I know I got hems and haws, and I'm also doing it in portrait mode again, which is a bad habit of mine. But I'm gonna go ahead and post this. I need to cue some stuff up. So let me go ahead and do that, and then hopefully this can be something that I can build upon. I've been really looking into this interview in private, and learning from it. So hopefully either I will come out more publicly and talk about some other things about the interview, or I'll just kind of create more clips like this where I'm breaking down types or at least aspects of an interview of officially typed people, and just showing how these principles or how these patterns from objective personality are legit. So